I'm Rob,
And I'm Mike.
and this is Let's Get Ethical.
All right. Well,
So,
we're back again. Rob, how you been?
Mike, I've been really good. How are you? How are things in sunny California?
Things in sunny California are sunny as usual. Yeah.
So what happened
How's
in
New
California?
Hampshire?
It's been snowy. It's been cold. We've had a lot of interesting weather across the country lately, haven't we?
We sure have. Absolutely.
And interestingly enough, those of us on Let's Get Ethical did a fun little collaboration with our friends on RT Sidebar. And Mike, what did we talk about?
We actually talked about that crazy weather that the East Coast has been having. And I guess maybe not quite all the way to the East Coast, but from Baltimore on over, I think.
It was
And
like middle of the country all the way
yeah,
on over.
yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't get any of it out here. So,
of course you
out
didn't.
here, I don't know what to tell you. Um, but yeah, so we did a collaboration with RT Sidebar and Let's Get Ethical on a number of things with regards to that and how we handle that, not just as practitioners or as healthcare providers, but how does management, how do leaders in the healthcare system, how should they be handling it? Do we handle it right? What can we do different? And
Right.
so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that episode, and we'll get started. So here we go.
Oh
Here
my
we
God,
go.
it's so
Thanks,
cold.
everybody.
It's so cold in Pennsylvania. Rob, are you alive?
It's freezing up here in New Hampshire. Brr, brr, brr.
Mindy's driving home from work. She looks like she's having a good time, but I can see through her sunroof there are no leaves on the trees. Mike, right now, this is the time of the year that all of us on the East Coast actually, really wish we were there with you. Most of the time we don't, because it is California. Let's just be honest, right? But Mike, what is the temperature now where
Well,
you're at?
being from the one state in the continental United States with the most dangerous temperatures and the most dangerous weather, California, it's hard. It's really tough.
Oh my God.
It's a little chilly. The breeze kicks up, and I mean, no, it's 75 today. We're having a great day.
Oh, you suck.
I can't decide whether I'm going to wear shorts and flip flops or stay in jeans. So while I feel for you guys, you could move. I'm
We
just
could
saying.
move. Now, I wanted to jump on a quick call while it's still cold outside with my great friends from Let's Get Ethical, Rob Fishwick and Mike Sheehan. Check out their pod to talk about all things fun in healthcare, ethics, current events, all things awesome. We have Mindy, who's on her way home, trying to get home from work, which happens sometimes in our areas, Rob, where we have snow, where it's hard to get into work
Oh, yeah.
but also hard to get home from work. And unfortunately, it can cause some controversies. So, Rob, like when you have, like you're in the Great White North, like when you have dumpings of snow, do you have call outs?
We do sometimes. Yes, we
Mhm.
try hopefully to avoid those from happening. But it's tough. We live in the one part of the country where we can have snow, sleet, rain, freezing rain, and ice all in one storm, all in the matter of 10 miles from each other, up and down, and side to side.
Wow.
And it's very unpredictable weather in the Northeast. It happens from time to time.
But you're kind of used to it though, right? Like your staff, the hospital, the management, pretty used to it.
Do
Like
you
if
ever
it
get
dump,
used to that weather?
they have something in the
I mean,
Northeast. I actually met I met Rob a few times before, but I met him at a conference in Maine. It's called the Mud Conference
Yes.
because it's just mud everywhere
oh,
because
weird.
it's just everything's melting. It's just gross.
Uh,
But but you guys are pretty prepared for it. Mike, what would happen if 14 inches dumped on your head right now? What would happen in California?
oh, oh man, if the sprinklers are hitting the streets in California, you get 50 car pileups. We can't get a drizzle, and if I swear to God, uh, sorry Californians, but none of you can drive. And I say you because I've lived on the East Coast. And
Yeah.
so I can relate a little bit. I lived in southern New Jersey we got one year where we got a lot of snow, more than normal. And so I can actually speak to the conversation that we're about to
There you
have
go.
about it from that experience. Um, but yeah, California, California is different. If it sprinkles, no one can drive. If you spit out the window, no one can drive. Um, it's quite a bit different. I really don't. I'm embarrassed by it. I don't. I
You
can
shouldn't
drive.
be.
I can drive, but but that's only because I lived out of state for a while before I came back.
Well, we in Pennsylvania say people from Jersey can't drive. So we're all not being able to drive. Mindy, is Baltimore any different than Ohio? So you guys just got a bunch of snow. You were at the Ohio State, which I'm sure never calls off. But like, did you see some call offs at the VA? Did you see some call offs with what was going on with all the snow? Because you got a lot of snow in Baltimore, just like I did in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so it's about the same as Ohio. There's snow comes and goes in Ohio like it does Maryland. But of course, you always have the call offs. I feel like there was more call offs in Maryland per se than what we would have at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Just because we're used to driving in the snow in Ohio.
Yeah.
And and then they would offer rooms also that we could stay in if we knew that there was going to be a big snow or ice storm. So we would stay, or we'd stay in Columbus somewhere. That way we were guaranteed to be at work the next day. I always planned it ahead, so I would stay with my friend Susan or somebody there in Columbus. That way I didn't miss a shift of work when I knew that we were in dire short-staffed anyway, and not lacking respiratory therapists for a day that could have a lot of emergencies.
So I really have two thoughts on weather emergencies. So whether you're on fire, where Mike is, which please don't go outside when you're on fire, but snow is interesting. I lived in North Carolina for a while. They just got 14 inches of snow. The whole place shut down. Now, that happened when I was there too. We got about 6 and the whole place shut down, and we had call outs. And what I found on social media, and this is a little controversial, should you call out and risk your life? You stay. Should the hospital do a better job at making accommodations rather than just throw you in a closet? I slept under my desk one time. Like, Rob, have you been in that situation where, like, I know you guys, well, like, I never miss because of weather ever. Okay. That's just how it is. But did you ever have to stay? And what was the staff's viewpoint on this? Because I think this is more of a staff issue, because they'll say management can stay home. I always felt uncomfortable with that. But like, tell us a story about when you had to deal with a tough one.
Yeah, there was many, many years ago when I worked up at Dartmouth Hitchcock, and I was a member of the transport team, worked in the NICU and the PICU. We had a huge, huge storm coming in. And I live, an hour plus away. And so I made hotel accommodations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up and, Dartmouth had a deal, whatever, with the hotel, and I got a room ahead of time. I was smart about it. I worked my night shift, drove over the next day, and in 10 minutes I was there. I was in bed. I was sleeping. It was perfectly safe, sound. I didn't have to drive all the way up down 89. But also hospitals in the Northeast will offer their staff, for example, hey, we'll figure it out. We'll get you something in the PACU, or we'll find some extra call rooms. Or even some hospitals might say, if you don't feel safe driving to work and you live, for example, in this specific radius of the hospital, we'll send our security team and their 4-wheel drive vehicles to pick you up and get you into work.
That's what happened when I lived in New Jersey, and we had the one storm. They sent out a memo. This is before email. They sent out a memo letting everybody know, hey, we have the storm coming in. If you can't make it, before you decide to call out, please let us know, and we'll send a 4x to come pick you up. Go ahead.
No, go. Keep going.
I thought Mindy was saying something. But yeah, so there is that option, that opportunity for those kinds of things to happen. But something else that I thought of, not to take us completely off track. Speaking of, not being able to get from work to home, those types of, I mean, there are single parents with kids that need to be taken care of. That's a whole other issue we have to deal with, huh?
And that's where I want to go with this conversation. Is it right to call off? Are there situations that you could say, hey, that's justified? I've always looked at it like I have a shift, I have to be there whether I like it or not.
Right.
But you're a single parent, school's called off, and you have a 7 and an 8-year-old. Like, that's hard. And you can't leave them home. So I see both sides of it. I know how I feel about it, but JJ just got on because he's driving home. What's the temperature, JJ, right now, buddy?
We got 69 right now.
Oh, so you get the finger. We won't do that because this is the kids
Get one
show.
of these fingers, buddy.
There you go.
Right on.
That's right.
But
Just
but
like
JJ
Mike has talked in a different, in a separate conversation, you choose where you live.
100%.
I don't know if I agree with that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
So are there good excuses to call off work? Like I know of people that use it as a snow day. They're like, hey, my kids are off. I'm going to be off no matter what. And I know they're not coming in. I knew which ones of my staff weren't coming in. I knew it. Okay. But is that right?
So there's the difference
ethical?
there's the difference between what you just said. My kids have the day off, so I'm just going to take the day, hang out with my kids, and my kids have the day off. I don't have anybody to watch them. I need to call off. There's a huge difference between those two. So what you're referring to is those that abuse the opportunity, right?
Yes. So
Right. And
go ahead, Mindy.
I'll say I worked with some people in the past who took every opportunity they could to call off work, and you know that they call off and when they were going to call off. I don't think that's appropriate. I think if you know you can't make it to work, see if you can find somebody to cover your shift that lives closer. That way, you're not short-staffed. I drove an hour from my house to work every single day that I worked. And there's times it's taken me 4 hours to get home. So if I can do it, I feel like everyone should be able to do it. But everyone's situation is different, especially when it comes to kids.
100%. That's true. That's absolutely true.
And it is.
When we talk legally,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
Legally.
Everybody's situation, I don't disagree, and everybody has their different reasons and rationales, but you work in a hospital, right? You're scheduled ahead of time. I think, compared to when all of us probably went to school, when they were calling off school 2 hours before school started, man, 24 hours in advance, they're not having school.
Yeah.
They've gotten much better. There's a snowflake and the school systems cancel school. Everything shuts down. I don't even care. Even if you live in the Northeast, they are so much better about canceling things now than they were 30 years ago or when we were in school, etc., which was a lifetime ago. So I don't find, and again, I appreciate there are single parents, etc. Not everybody has the best options in the world. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, our patients are in the hospital. They can't go home. There's an expectation of care. We have an obligation. We took an oath to show up and care for those people to the best of our ability, regardless. And so I think that if you use that as an excuse, just the weather, I don't appreciate that as a leader. Does it happen? It does. I like to think that my team tries to think ahead of that a little bit more, or maybe the thing is that if you know it's going to be problematic for you because you're a single parent, figure out a different plan, ask another team member on your team, hey, if this happens, can we make a flip? Can we make a swap? I think people just don't think ahead and that there's poor planning, and then they end up banging out of work.
Rob, how do you distinguish between the employee who is not thinking ahead, who is taking the opportunity, who's not taking the steps to do that, and someone who might have tried and simply not been able to find somebody to cover, or found out last minute? And how do you distinguish between that? And then second, how do you delineate work and home life?
Well, I will tell you, as a leader, your question is a little rhetorical, right? Of course,
Well, I'm asking you based off of your.
No, you are, but your
Yeah.
question is a little rhetorical, Mike, and you know that as a leader, I can't make that distinguish, or I can't distinguish that. That's very hard to do.
Right.
However, to Mindy's point, people have patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have more
That I understand.
patterns more than others. And it's not my place, and I will say that you know, as a leader, it's a challenging world that you don't get to ask people questions. It is what it is, but you can definitely distinguish certain patterns at times.
JJ, go ahead.
Is it a frontline staff member's concern to worry about staffing?
That's a good question, and I'm going to say that it's not.
So it's not my responsibility to find my coverage.
It depends
if
on
I'm
the
calling out,
situation,
if I'm calling out,
yeah,
I don't have to give a reason. I'm here with my kids. I'm taking a snow day. I don't have to give a reason. All I have to do is say I'm not making it today, and you cannot judge or distinguish whether that is for a rightful reason or not.
You are not incorrect. I can judge. I just can't judge it. I can't judge it publicly.
Publicly.
Publicly, okay.
Publicly.
Sure.
I can judge it behind my door closed, but JJ, you're not wrong when you say that I can't ask you why, right?
Right.
But I think that there are patterns that develop sometimes, and we see those patterns if you work in leadership long enough, for better or worse, that you do see patterns develop. The hope is that you catch those patterns and you have the opportunity to mentor and coach those people ahead of time, so that when you have these dire consequences or bad weather or whatever it may be, natural disasters, people are going to show up to work because the patients sure expect us to be there.
So I think, JJ, you made a good point. So legally, you just said the letter of the law, basically. That's what the letter of the law says. But culturally, ethically, morally, that's why we have Let's Get Ethical on here. This is where I get to think a little differently at times. So, Mindy, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we, especially in today's society, our weather reporting system is so good at predicting how much snow is going to drop, say, south of 71, north of 71. So you have plenty of time, sometimes over a week, to plan. You know that you're supposed to work these days, that it's supposed to drop 12 inches of snow. You can make arrangements to get a hotel, stay with family in Columbus. A lot of people live around the hospital they work at, so it's not that hard to get there. You know, especially if you plan it.
So what I'm hearing is, and we're having this conversation to be poke the bear a little bit, right? To have a little bit of a controversy around it. But what I'm hearing is, legally, you can't ask. Ethically and morally, we should be thinking about the patients, right? And you should have a plan. You know it's coming. You disagree, JJ?
I don't know that I'm thinking about patients first. I'm thinking about my family first.
Right. That's what I was
like. That's my number one responsibility. When I became a husband, I have one responsibility.
And Rob, that's what I was trying to get
if my wife is pregnant and she's about to go into labor, I am taking care of my wife.
Now, let me respond to that, JJ, really quick.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Because Rob, that's what I was trying to bring up earlier. That's kind of what I was trying to get at, was how do you delineate between work and home life? Now, JJ, to contradict, I guess, for lack of a better word, what you were saying, because Rob, this is where I will absolutely agree with what you were saying. if I have a schedule and my schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, day or night, and those are my scheduled days, and I know that snowstorm's coming in, and I know this is happening, I would disagree with the I can just call off statement. I have a responsibility in that case, in my opinion, to those patients. That's my scheduled day to be there. I know Saturday that's coming. I have a couple days. If I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to get there or that my kids are going to be off, I have a responsibility to my schedule. While I don't control staffing and I don't have a responsibility to staffing if I'm a bedside therapist, I do have a responsibility to uphold my side of the bargain there. And if I have that opportunity, I should be making every effort. Are we? Probably not 95% of the time, right? But that's where we should be. So Rob, I agree with you in that aspect, and JJ, I disagree with that piece. But I agree 100% with JJ. If I find out that I can't get to work tomorrow and it's tonight and my kids aren't going to school, I'm not coming in, guys. There's nothing I can do because family first. And I agree with that statement as well. It's a weird line to walk, but I think what we run into is those that abuse that. And that's where the patterns come in. Yes. And it's funny, you get it in Southern California. Tomorrow's going to be a great beach day. So kids are coming out of school, family's calling off work, we're going to the beach. You get that from the opposite side out here.
That's interesting. So let me ask, so California, you have weird other natural issues. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the panel here. Okay. Snow, JJ, you get hurricanes that we don't get. We can see them coming. Right. But an earthquake is a little different. An earthquake is happening. We can't predict it. We don't know what's coming. Does that play into this conversation when you can plan ahead because or when it's an instantaneous disaster? Does that play anything when it comes to this?
It can. And it doesn't generally. So earthquakes like the Whittier quake in '87 or Northridge or the San Francisco quake that cracked Candlestick, right? Those bigger quakes, the world stops.
That's emergency management. Okay.
Yeah, I remember I was walking to school in 1987 and the Whittier quake happened, and that was like a 6.3 or 6.4, maybe 6.1, something like that. And I had no idea what it was. I was on my way to school, and then when we realized it was an earthquake, what did we do as seventh graders? I think I was in seventh grade. We ran to school. I couldn't wait to see what my friends felt and what my friends experienced. And then we had 2 aftershocks, our first period of class. And after that, they said, everybody go home. We're done. We're not having school today. Well, now mom and dad's world has to stop because all these kids are coming home from school. And so mom and dad now have to, from work, say, I'm out. I got to go home. So in those types of situations, the world stops from that regard. And then there's the emergency response and the damage assessments, but that's more epicenter. Although I grew up I'd say about between 5 and 10 miles from Whittier, 5 and 10 miles from the epicenter. We didn't have any issues other than school closed and we got a free day. And, in Southern California, we don't get snow days. So that was really exciting to us. But so you get that sudden shakeup, and what can you do? I mean,
well, let me tell you, I have not experienced a 2-hour delay for myself since I was a little kid. My kids had 2-hour delays growing up, but now that I work where I work, they will call 2-hour delays. And I'm just like, I feel like a kid again, but I'm still responsible to take care of my main stuff and then it's just like a 2-hour delay for basically clinics to be open so patients can get there safely. But I'm still able to go in.
It's funny because with this last storm that we had, everything still kind of went through. They shut the school down here in Victoria. And of course, we are still active in the church and we're going to church. We're going to do all the things that we normally do. Alicia being on the worship team, they delayed the call time like 2 hours. Right. And I said, oh, fantastic. You got the delay of 2 hours. I said, but we cannot leave the house 15 minutes before we're supposed to be there, just like if the roads are clear. So you still have to get up and get ready like you're going to get there at 6 a.m. You can't not treat it the same way. So, there's some of those pieces that people will wait. Oh, I got that 2 hour delay. Now I can wait until 7:30 to start getting ready.
I get
you
2
still
more
have
hours to
prepare.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
still have to get up and prep.
So as a kid, I loved 2 hour delays. As a parent, I hated them because you had to get to work. Like I started at 7, he's supposed to get up at 6, and now he's getting up at 8. Like I see the problem.
Right.
Is this a systems issue? Is this a community issue as well? Like to me, Rob, you and I, Mindy, we're in the snow. Should communities prioritize healthcare providers and plow their streets first, maybe?
Well, that
Just saying.
Healthcare providers live everywhere. And
That's the problem. They live everywhere.
Nurses.
We're going to put you and all of us in a compound.
One community. Right.
So everybody watching, go live near a healthcare provider and your street will be plowed first.
Oh, okay. Now I got it. I'm going to have a lot of neighbors soon.
911.
Yeah.
You have to take care of you. Did you see the article where when we had the big snowstorm in Ohio, there was a EMS transporting a neonatal patient to Cincinnati Children's or someplace down south or Cincinnati, and a snowplow driver actually plowed the road in front of the ambulance so they can get to the hospital safely.
It was on the national news. That was really cool.
That's
one
awesome.
of the great therapists was on board. So that's really, really cool. That's what we need.
That's what we need. Making sure that patients are safe first, making sure your own family is safe first. You can't have multiple priorities. They always say priorities is not a plural word, but we all have different priorities during these type of emergencies. But having a plan, important. Being notified as early as possible, important. But then just taking care of your business. I mean, that's just what it is. I don't want to end this wonderful talk because we were thinking this was going to be a snack, and now it's getting a little juicy. I saw on Respiratory Therapy Break Room, I saw on mobile, like so many multiple patient social media pages of hospitals, hospital management. All right, Rob Fisher, hospital management threatening employees. Hey, just so you know, if you don't come to work, this is the policy. Is that the right thing to do? Rob, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to let everybody argue with you afterwards because you're a manager, still currently a manager.
Yes.
Is that feels wrong personally?
So I will tell you, me personally, from a just culture perspective, I'm not okay with that messaging. There's no, that's not okay. And that's probably maybe that might not have been the answer you were expecting, but I am going to stand by my belief in just culture and tell you that I am not okay with any organization's leadership sending out that type of messaging to their staff.
Does anyone disagree?
It's threatening. Like,
yeah,
how are we supposed to lead through threats, right? If we're supposed to have influence, how is that going to empower your staff if you're sitting there threatening them, right? And this is John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. This is the lowest level. Because you have a rank that's higher than mine, you can act this way. No, that does not get me geared up to run through that brick wall for you. Like, if you're going to threaten me, I'm going to probably push back harder.
We sometimes get those same types of emails around holidays and holiday schedules as well, though, right?
True.
So,
hey,
and
remember,
I would say
this is
those
the
are
policy.
Yeah, I would say those are no different from one another, right? but
so.
somehow it seems to be okay with those holiday schedules to send that email out.
Mindy, have you seen this before?
I have seen it before, and it does cause a very toxic workplace.
100%.
And then you just have therapists rebel. Well, it's not a pretty thing. And
no, what are they going to do? They're going to call out. Or they're going to call out in groups.
Right.
Call outs. It's going to make it worse.
Yep. They'll talk about it in their units, and then the nurses get fired up, and they're like, we need to support Of course, I need to support respiratory, but it makes management look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
When's the last time JJ got in there and put on some scrubs? That's the conversation.
That's what ends up happening. They're like, well, where's Matt? Well, Matt's underneath his desk trying to get a napper in real quick. But there's a difference between servant leadership and a dictatorship.
Authoritarian.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Rob, that's what you're talking about with just culture. Just culture is about doing what's right and just,
Right.
which is justice, which is let's get ethical.
Let's get
So, and it's all about the type of leader too.
Yes.
It is all about the type of leader.
Yeah.
We can't all be Rob Fishwick. Let's just say that. We just can't all be that awesome.
We can try. We're trying.
We can try. We'll try. So I'm thinking final thoughts for this because we've been on almost a half an hour. Like this is going to be a full episode. I'm super excited. What I really want to get out of this is when we post this, I want to hear what other people think because I think it gets the conversation going. I think there's responsibilities from the hospital and I think there's responsibilities from the individual, and we need to come together on what those expectations are. So that's my final thought. Mike, what are you thinking when it comes to this? Like, what is the piece that you're getting out of this conversation?
Well, my piece was actually very similar to yours. I always like to leave, Rob and I always like to leave questions just open to be answered. And the question is how? How do we come together on that? How do we get leadership and staff to both admit, hey, I do this, you're right, and I do this. How do we get them to come together, and how do we foster that communication and that relationship? And so that's the question. That my final thought would be that question. Let's do our best on both sides to start heading to the middle, head that direction.
Mindy, what are your final thoughts for today?
My thoughts are be a responsible employee. If you know that there's a storm coming, and I understand having kids, I have 3 kids of my own. So there's probably times in my past where I've had to call off too. But I've always tried to see if somebody could work for me. So I'd send out an email to every staff, even people at OSU East to see, hey, can you cover my shift? If not, they were aware that I had to call off because that email went out. But I've always tried not to call out unless it was something that was emergent or I was sick or my kids were involved. But if you know there's a storm coming, prepare and find a place to stay. That way you can make it to work.
I like it. JJ, with all the snow you get in Texas, what are your final thoughts?
A couple of things, and I apologize for being late. There's just as Mindy, you were talking about, as a staff member, I can see the weather and I get that weather report. I know that there's 12 inches coming. Well, leadership gets that same notification from the Weather Channel. Aren't they potentially making those phone calls? If I was at a position of leadership and I saw that there was 12 inches coming and I knew that I had somebody that was driving an hour away, I would be calling my more local staff and saying, hey, we're going to need you on standby. These are some of the things that we've got going on. Are you open to it? Right? That's bringing it together. To go towards that authoritarian type leadership. When I was orientating in a hospital in Connecticut, I started in March. It was the back end of winter, moving into the springtime. They would tell us stories in orientation of staff that would dig themselves out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then walk to work because that was the safest way to get there. And those were like inspirational stories. And I was thinking, I'm not going to be here long enough to make a winter. But if I was, this is the thought process, this is the mentality, this is the expectation. They are setting it in orientation. And so you have that, and you have that understanding of this is what our people do, because they love working here and they love taking care of these patients. And so at times I think that as patient centered and focused as I can be, sometimes if the culture of the department or the culture of the hospital is worse or toxic, it can outweigh my love for caring for my patients.
Rob,
That's
a good one. I like that, because
That's
that
true.
ties into your servant leadership. Rob, what are your final thoughts?
That was really good. So, in the Northeast, and I think even most hospitals, we all have inclement weather plans. We have emergency action plans, inclement weather plans, all built into our systems. It's leadership's responsibility to make sure that those are reviewed. It's leadership's responsibility to think ahead, right? It's our responsibility to look around each corner and anticipate what's coming and act in a manner that is appropriate and plan appropriately. Yes, I want to be respectful and responsive to all my team members, that they have kids, etc. That's the type of leader that I am. And also, just because you're a leader, don't be a jerk, right? I do think that it is unjust to send threatening emails or even hint or connotate as a leader to your staff. X will happen if you do Y.
So, Rob, I'm going to suggest that you write a book, that says just don't be a jerk, and it has that is the only thing it says in the book. People would buy it. I'm telling you. I bought many
different variations of the word jerk, though.
Yes.
Each case.
Yeah, exactly. I've read books like Maxwell. I've read them all, right? And really, at the end, it's don't be a jerk.
Right.
So, that was kind of fun. So, what I want to see is I want to see people in the comments talking about this, because if we start talking about it, we can start having conversations with leadership, so we can come together in the middle. I'm thinking about, the strikes that are going on in New York City. If everybody just had a good conversation, maybe we wouldn't be in this place. So for all the RT Sidebar, barflies worldwide, all of those that are going through this, know that these are conversations we need to have. So check out Let's Get Ethical on YouTube. Fantastic podcast, little spinning off of RT Sidebar. We love Mike and Rob. Mindy, JJ, and I will be around for more episodes.
Can I add one last thing with regards to that? We're not just on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Audible, Amazon Music, everywhere you get your podcasts. That's where you'll find us.
Wonderful. Check it out. Barflies, do it now, right now. So from Let's Get Ethical, from RT Sidebar, continue the conversation and stay tuned. Peace.